I live in Surrey. I bet you didn't expect that, Nick. And you may or may not be aware that Surrey, yes, Surrey, is about to hold a referendum. I know that's another one of your pet hates. Surrey Council wants to increase council tax by a staggering 15%.
Despite us finding £450 million worth of savings from our annual budget, we have to propose this increase in council tax.
Do you see his eyes at the end of that clip?
Real live wire there.
Even he doesn't seem to be that certain, does he? Now, I don't want my first subject of 2017 to sound like an edition of Surrey Tonight, but that's precisely my point. Social care is a national issue, not a local issue, and the national government should be paying. Look, I recognise that social care is a massive problem, but if the government needs more money, then they should front up and raise national taxes, just as Greg said on the pledge a few weeks ago. If other councils do the same, as Surrey, we'll end up with a postcode lottery. The losers, as usual, will be the poorer people, and those who really need social care will lose out.
Let me just get this straight. You are seeking listeners' sympathy for a former Premier League
Viewers,
football
it's not your
player
radio
who lives
show.
in Surrey. Have I actually got that right?
Yes, I'm actually
And the solution for this former Premier League football player and successful football commentator, and well done, who is now in regular employment, is to put up taxes. For everybody, is it?
Yes.
You are, I really like you, but you are so out of touch, it's quite frightening.
Yeah.
There are people watching this show that Just About Managing, who derogatorily refer to as jams, they can't afford another penny of tax. They really can't. To speak to the main heart of your question, again, it's difficult to have sympathy for Surrey, as you will know, if those who don't know. It is one of the wealthiest counties in the whole of the country. I think Guildford is like the third or fourth most expensive average property price in the whole of the land.
Yeah.
So you got a few quid in Surrey. I actually look, this is my concern with Surrey. So you can't put up taxes. I'm sorry, Graham, you're living in your Surrey bubble. People cannot afford it. Watching the show are clinging by their bloody
but it doesn't have to be. I didn't say
fingernails.
tax necessarily for every single person in the country.
You mean for the wealthier?
You could raise tax on the highest earners.
No, but how's that different to what's going on in Surrey?
Because it's
that's
local
what they
or
are
national.
doing.
It's local against national. And to your point, I agree with you. And actually, you should be agreeing with me, because if you raise council tax in Surrey to fund services that are desperately in need of money, only the residents in Surrey benefit. And not everyone in Surrey is wealthy.
My final point, we did this on this radio show. I was staggered. Look, my callers don't like their local authorities. In fact, like, very rarely will they ring up and say, I've got a wonderful local council. It does. They do. But the animosity towards Surrey County Council from my listeners was extraordinary. And they pointed to some very questionable spending decisions, which I won't chronicle here because I haven't got the journalistic background. But I will say this. Surrey has the thick end of over £1.5 billion a year pouring into its coffers. Yeah. I think it should be looking carefully at where that money is spent.
I agree.
I think savings should be made.
We're agreeing, Nick.
Okay.
The fact is that if you raise 15%, it's got to go to a referendum, OK? But
which will never happen. No one's going to agree to that.
History tells us if we look at Liverpool, they tried it.
So you then can ask... No, because it's the principle of the fact that even if residents said, yes, we're prepared to pay the 15%, then that sets a precedent for the rest of the country to follow suit. And what is proven as well is that then disproportionately poorer boroughs suffer the most. So the very people that need the money don't get it.
So I just think you're whinging.
Absolutely not.
You are whinging.
You know what's going to happen with this referendum? It's going to be a no for the referendum.
It's going to be a no anyway, so it's a win.
What's going to
So
happen
nothing's
after
going to
that?
happen.
They're going to cut frontline services, and what they're going to say when people die, and when fire engines don't turn out to put out fires, they're going to say it's your fault, people. You voted against this.
Exactly.
And which is why we have to look at the model. You know, we've had the same model for the National Health Service and for care for 70 years. It
decades.
doesn't work
anymore.
We have to change it.
But
And if that means people paying all over the country.
Is your point, but I'm confused. So, you know, they've said we're going to have a referendum. You, the people, choose.
Yep.
If you feel that you want to participate, you put your hand up and we'll participate.
Yeah.
And if you don't, we won't.
Okay.
So in which case, I think what they're doing is correct. Let them propose a referendum. Number one, it may not happen anyway, in which case you've had a whinge, you've got it off your chest, nothing will happen. Assuming you're wrong and people come out and vote and say, you know what, we do live in the richest borough, we do have the money, these are our people in our community, and we don't want to see these people struggling, and therefore we will pay the money.
So you think it's fine then that local government can, if just because the borough and the residents within that borough can afford to pay the 15%?
Yeah,
I think it's absolutely right, because if I choose to live there, Graham, if I choose to live somewhere,
I don't
and that
understand
is
how
the
you
price,
think, and especially you, because you believe. Do you not believe in national? This is a national issue.
I do. But
so why should then people in Surrey, even if they decided to pay it,
because
why should they be at why should they be an advantage?
No.
That's what I'm saying. Effectively, you're saying you're fine with one borough going alone in terms of their social health care.
And then for
other
other
boroughs
a particular
to
borough, and it happens to be.
It doesn't make sense.
I think clearly this is them also testing this out as a potential model for the rest of the country.
Yeah.
And why not test it out in the place that can afford it the most?
June, people like Nick says that are just above the breadline, £46 is too much money.
I know, but
and
Surrey,
there are plenty of those...
£1 a week,
Listen,
Graham,
I can...
£1 a week. I tell you what, if it helps, Graham, I'll give it to you.
No, but this is the point. I can afford it, so I'm arguing not for
so
me.
what are you moaning
because
for?
I'm not arguing for me. I'm arguing on the fact that by us in Surrey, even having this conversation covers over the disaster and the crisis as it's happening to our social care. So you can't.
That poor inner London boroughs, poor boroughs of Manchester, poor boroughs of Liverpool and others, the people there are going to suffer. That's the point.
That is exactly the point.
You must see that. I thought you were from weren't you from a council
estate?
This is a smokescreen, I think.
Yeah, it is.
For ulterior motives. So that if as things continue to get worse, the residents of Surrey that vote no in the referendum are suddenly held account for what is a national crisis waiting to happen.
And how do we know?
That's not acceptable, and it's the government passing the buck to local councils so they can go, well, look, that's your issue. It isn't. It's everybody's issue. And if we don't deal with it collectively, and the reason I said raising the taxes nationally, unfortunately, we're bankrupt as a country. We continue to have the model, like Carol says, of the NHS. We're going to be spending a fifth of our GDP in 50 years on the National Health Service. Unsustainable.
Yeah.
But you know,
patching over something like this is wrong.
It is only a sticking plaster. Throwing billions at this problem is only a sticking plaster.
I think you're going to end up getting what you want anyway, because if you just roll this out... It goes to referendum.
People are going to vote no.
They're going to vote no. Let's be honest. Hang on. And then let's say it goes to other boroughs like Newham or poorer boroughs.
Same
they haven't got the money anyway, so they're going to say no. So it ends up back with the national government anyway.
But within that time, you've lost years of work that could be done to actually find a long-term problem.
And also, the damage.
No, but the damage is going to be done anyway.
Quickly, what Downing Street are saying: this is an issue for Surrey Council and the residents of Surrey. Additional funding is going into social care. We recognise there have been problems. That's why councils have been allowed to increase the social care precept. And then they go on talking about how they want to explore issues of best practice. So Downing Street would say they acknowledge the problem, Graham, but you probably agree it's not exactly a solution, is it?
It's not a solution, but look, I'm going to lighten the mood a bit. We're going to have our own referendums. We've got our own referendum, Nick. I know you love them so much.
Yes.
You've got a yes or no.
So what we vote? What's the question?
15%. Are you happy to pay 15% of addition to your council tax or not?
Yes. So I want you to pay.
No, not me.
Because if it's you, it's definitely. If it's you. But if it's more generally.
Yes.
No. It's for you. Right, we're going to have a quick look. No goldfish were harmed in this piece of...
there's one more
and look, I'm actually going to count so that I win. All votes have been counted. I've got 5, 2 yeses, 3 noes. Thanks very much.
Yes.
Delighted.